When I say depression isn't real, I'm saying that because I don't believe in things that can take away power from me. If I believed in depression, I would have been depressed in jail. But I can't be depressed if I don't believe in it. If you don't believe in ghosts, how could you be haunted? You have two people in a haunted house. One believes in ghosts, one doesn't. There's a knock in the night. One wakes up, calls an exorcist, is terrified, looks for a ghost. The other guy doesn't believe in ghosts. Knock in the night, goes back to sleep. It's the belief in the ghost that gives it the power. If I don't believe in depression, I believe in feeling depressed. Sure, we're humans, we have emotions. Sometimes we feel depressed, sometimes we feel happy. I don't believe in the idea of becoming a depressed person who has depression. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's possible for me. So if I don't believe in it, how can it happen? I don't believe in depression. So why would I not adopt the mindset that makes me the most capable predator I can possibly be? Why not adopt the mindset that makes me as competent and as fearsome as possible? If you have to install software in your own mind, why would I not install software that makes me capable of not only driving a Bugatti and flying on private jets, but sitting in a Romanian dungeon covered in cockroaches? I need to be able to do all of it. So why would I believe in something that made me incapable? I don't believe in depression because I think that even the belief in and of itself, when you feel depressed, you'll start to consider, maybe I have depression. Then you go see a psychiatrist who tells you you have depression, and they want you on pills. It's the belief that goes down the spiral. If I feel sad, I go, I'm depressed today, I'll be fine tomorrow.
Depression is another weapon they use to destroy our masculine energy, right? That's another weapon they use, because the majority of depressed people are men. Men suffer from depression more than females, because a man's life is worse than a female's life. A man's life's much harder, right? So another way they destroy us is they convince us to be absolutely selfish. Depression is nothing but extreme selfishness. That's what I'm gonna call it. And I'm gonna tell you why it's not real in a second. But if you're depressed, you're living inside of your mind, you're obsessed with how you feel, you don't care about anything outside of yourself, and you're an exceptionally selfish person. That's all they're trying to do, is convince you and teach you to be extremely selfish. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna say this right here, right now, because there's a whole bunch of famous people, Lincoln Park and whatever, they killed themselves. If you have children and you kill yourself, you're not a man. I don't care what you're feeling. I don't care how sad you are. You have children to take care of. You're gonna embarrass your children? You're gonna leave your children without a father because you're sad? If you have children and you kill yourself, you were never a man to begin with. Absolute garbage. Garbage. And the only reason this crap happens is because of the acceptance of depression. People say that depression is stigmatized. It's the complete opposite. It's accepted now to the point where it's almost promoted. It's insane. Let me tell you something. Depression is not real. Feeling depressed is real. You can feel depressed, but you feel depressed, and that is a natural biological evolutionary trigger for you to change something in your life. That's your own mind telling you you're unhappy about X. If I went to jail today, I'd be depressed because I'm in jail. I haven't caught depression. I don't have a disease. I'm just upset with my situation. I have people message me all the time. I'm fat and I can't get a girlfriend because I'm depressed. I'm like, no, pancake lover. You're depressed because you're fat and you can't get a girlfriend. Do you understand? This is the point, right? So for a lot of people, your life is depressing. A lot of you out there, if you're sitting there and you say you suffer from depression, you probably live a depressing life. You probably live a depressing life. So if I was you, I'd be depressed. But if you were me, you'd be happy. Do you know what could solve depression for most poor people? $1 million in the bank. Boom. So how is it a disease? So when I say this to people, most of them agree and they go, okay, but if that's true, why do famous people kill themselves? And I say, well, I know you think you outsmarted me, but I'm Andrew Tate. And I have the answer. The reason is twofold. This absolute acceptance of depression and acceptance of weakness. When you accept anything, to a degree you're promoting it. Weakness is promoted now in men, right? So let's take Robin Williams as an example. Famous, he could be banging 19-year-olds for the rest of his life, multi-millionaire, everyone loves him. How could he possibly kill himself? I'll tell you why. Because when he walked into the therapist's office and said, I feel depressed, the therapist said, okay, here's some mind-altering drugs, start taking these. And then I need to see you 6 hours a day, every day, and we're gonna talk about sad things for the next 10 years. He was in therapy for 10 years. If I had to take mind-altering drugs and talk about sad shit for 6 hours a day for 10 years, I'd kill myself. But if he would have walked into the therapist's office and the therapist said to him, you're Robin Williams. There are people in the world with no food. There are families in Syria.
I say this
there
every
are
time.
school buses being bombed in Yemen. There are people who lost their entire family in a car crash today. You're Robin Williams and everyone you love is in perfect health. You're a selfish idiot. Get out of my office. Get some balls.
Bam.
He'd still be alive today. The cure made it worse. And this whole society of accepting depression, as soon as someone's depressed, instantly go to them, oh, poor you, it's okay, we know you can't help it, you can't help it. Why are you telling people they can't help it? Why are you reinforcing that mindset in people? If you come to me and say you're depressed, I say, I will fix you. And you know what's crazy? When I said this depression thing wasn't real, do you know how many people stuck up for depression? You don't understand, I'm depressed, depression's real. Then I was like, if it's so horrible, why are you defending it? You sound like it's a PR team. I thought it was ruining your life, but you are desperate for me to believe in it. You want me to believe in it. You're sticking up for it. You're defending depression, trying to convince me it's real because it's your cure-all excuse for failure. When you're depressed, you can fail in every human metric. I fail at everything, but I'm depressed. It's not my fault. No, you're a failure. That's all you are, because you're not trying very hard. If you live in a house, I say this all the time, this is the reason I don't believe in depression. Because I don't believe in depression, I cannot become depressed.
Bam.
No matter what the worst thing that could possibly happen to me on earth, I will feel sad, but I will recover and I will not become depressed because I don't believe in depression. If you're in an old haunted house, right? You have two people in two haunted houses. One believes in ghosts and one doesn't. You hear some noise in the night, the wind blows, right? The man who believes in ghosts is like, oh no, a ghost. Now he's scared, right? He wants an exorcist. He can't sleep. He's scared about ghosts. He's paranoid. The guy who doesn't believe in ghosts goes wind, whatever, and goes back to sleep. Do you understand that it's the belief that gives it power?
Right.
If you don't believe in ghosts, the ghost can't hurt you. If you don't believe in depression, you can't become depressed. And I refuse to believe in something that's going to weaken me. Why would I believe in something that's going to weaken my ability to deal with problems in life? Why would I do that? And I'm not going to waste my living years believing in things which take power from me. Because I'm not an idiot. So if you're going to sit there and go, depression is real, actually, you don't understand the problems I'm going through. You're a moron. You are a moron. And the great thing about morons is, as you lose, there's no life without God. Right? There's no joy without pain. For me to be a winner, there needs to be losers. If you want to be depressed and sit around broke while I'm flexing in the Lambo, then do it. Go do it. But you're not going to convince me to join your way of thinking. The last thing, anyone who's watching this, I want you to understand, the last thing you should ever do is adopt the thinking of someone who is sad. Why would you want to think like the sad person? I'm sad and I'm semi-suicidal. You should have the same views and beliefs as me. Get the fuck out of here.
No,
depression.
Damn.
It ain't real. There, I'm just blown out of the water. It's not real. You can come at me and say whatever you want. It's not real.
And especially as a man, your accomplishments, right, from your competence creates confidence.
Yep.
Most of the time, these guys that are depressed, it's because they haven't accomplished anything. They're sitting at home crying.
You're depressed because your life's depressing. You wake up, you're fat, you're lonely.
Facts.
You go to the fridge, there's no milk. I can't even have Cheerios. That's it. I'm depressed. Of course. That's because you're living a depressing lifestyle. If you woke up sexy, like me, you'd be okay. But this is the thing. As a man, you need to build your value. This has all been discussed a million times before. All the things I have are things I've got myself. If you have nothing worth having, you're gonna live a depressing life. I don't believe in depression. I refuse to believe in depression. It is not real.
Bro.
Feeling depressed is real. This is what people can get confused. You can sometimes feel depressed, but you do not have an imaginary disease called depression. You just need to change something. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain, you're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
Well, that's what's interesting, because when I said depression wasn't real, the number of people who would attack me defending depression, this is why I didn't understand. Right. You say depression isn't real, but depression's ruined my life, and it's super real, and it's ruined my life, and I lost my marriage. I'm like, if I told you it wasn't real, you should be coming to me saying, tell me how it's not real. Please help me with my depression. Why are you trying to convince me that it's real? Why are you sticking up for it?
And why are you defending depression?
And why would I adopt the thinking of someone who's sad? Why would I? You're going to convince me to take your worldview. You just told me your wife left you, you're fat, and you want to kill yourself. And you want me to sit here and go, with my perfect life, and go, you know what, I want to think like this guy. You're out your mind. I don't believe in it. And because I don't believe in it, it's made me the kind of person who can't become depressed. And the reason they don't like me attacking that is because depression is a fantastic way to subdue a population, right? If everybody's depressed, it's hard to have a revolution. You're depressed. Oh, they've locked us all in our houses. I don't want to go outside anyway. I'm sad, right? So depression's a fantastic tool of population control. They have no problem with you being depressed. They have a problem with you being the opposite, principled and energetic. No, you don't want principled, energetic people. That's a problem. A bunch of depressed people, easy. If you had to invade a country, would you rather the opposing army be principled and energetic or depressed?
I'll tell you, I would not want to be invaded by a cheerful army.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
They're having too much fun. So depression is a defended idea. You're not allowed to even talk about it. You're not allowed to help people get out of it, right? They like the idea of a depressed population. And this is what I say to people. Now, I'm not stupid. I understand like PTSD is real. I understand mental health is real. I'm not saying that, but I say if you're an 18-year-old boy or 18-year-old man and your life is pretty much okay, bacteria didn't steal your eyesight, which could have happened. You never had a car crash and lost both of your legs, which could have happened. You're actually very fortunate. And you wake up and you say, I'm depressed. I think you're an idiot. I don't think you're depressed. I think you've been psyoped. I think you feel a little bit of depression and you can fix that by changing your life. I think if you became rich and strong and smart and successful and you worked hard and you dedicated yourself and you were motivated and you tried your very, very best to become excellent, you probably wouldn't feel depressed anymore, which means it's not a disease, is it? So why would you, the only reason you're even saying you have depression is because you believe in it.
So you're arguing for cause and effect. You're saying if you live a certain way, you're going to feel a certain way.
Absolutely, and I also would argue that I think we've evolutionarily, even though I do believe in God, I think that we've designed ourselves and the human has grown into a way where if you feel depressed or sad, I think that's a fantastic trigger or a warning signal to do something. If you were to say to me, Andrew, you have to complete this monumental task. You have to conquer the world. I would say, okay, but I need a emotional motivation to do that. I need to be unhappy having not completed the task. I need to be uncomfortable, right? If you're uncomfortable being out of shape, you'll get in shape. If you're happy being out of shape, then you're just going to stay out of shape, right? So if you feel a degree of uncomfortableness inside of your mind, I think it's just your mind telling you there's something about your life that needs to change.
Yes.
You need to get up and change something. Guys would say to me, I'm depressed because I'm fat and I have no girlfriend. And I'd say, no, you have no girlfriend and you're fat and that's why you're depressed. If you go change those two things, you'd probably be surprised that your disease goes away. I had another guy say he was going to kill himself. I said, listen, it's back when I used to reply to my emails when I was smaller. I said, make me a promise, get a six-pack first.
Of beer?
I said, get a six-pack first, get in fantastic shape, and then do whatever you want. Didn't want to kill himself once he was in fantastic shape.
So he did it?
Yeah. I have the before and after, I put him on Twitter. Kind of interesting that, isn't it? So how are we going to say we have this disease, which is cause and effect? How are we going to say we have this disease where there's something wrong with you as a man, you have a disease because your life sucks? I don't think that's true. I think that your life just sucks and you should change it. And another thing I also preach, and this is another thing that's very important, I also think as a man, because life as a man is pain and suffering, and when I say that, because you're never going to be a good man or good at being a man without pain and suffering. You're going to have to go through a bunch of shit and have a terrible life to become a good man. I think you should embrace that and accept it. And I think that the correct mental model for men to have is a degree of stoicism and not to be too concerned with even how they feel. If I woke up today happy, I would have done this interview with you. If I woke up today sad, I would have done this interview with you. What's the difference? Why put so much importance on my emotion if certain things must be done? I must work, I must train, I must see Tucker Carlson, I must resist the Matrix.
You've got duties.
I've got things to do. So why are we going to sit around and talk about how I feel if it doesn't even affect how I act? And as a man, it shouldn't, because there's too much to do. And the masculine world is hyper-competitive. This is another thing most people don't understand.
Totally agree.
It's hyper-competitive out here. All the women want a few men at the top. The Ferrari, you don't want a Ferrari to drive fast. You want a Ferrari because other men want a Ferrari and can't have one. It's hyper-competitive. So if you're competing against every other man for every dollar you make, every girl you see, the house you live in, the car you drive, the life you live, you're not going to be able to compete with the person who performs regardless of how they feel if you only compete when you feel like competing. Right? Because there's men like me out there who will be sad every day and outcompete you regardless. I don't care how I feel, I will still win. And that's the kind of mindset you need to adopt. So I don't, when a man
You've
comes...
got a job to do. Stop whining. Go to work.
Completely.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely.
Yes.
So when men say, oh, but I feel sad, who cares? The world doesn't care. All the men who are out here to destroy you and take your girl don't care. So why do you care? Like, the person who should care least is you. You're the only person who wakes up every day who should have a genuine vested interest in improving your life. Nobody else wakes up and wants to improve your life, only you. So if nobody else cares about how you feel, why do you care? So my argument also for depression is, you're depressed, fine. Have you trained today? Well, that doesn't change what you should do with your life, depressed or not. And I don't say this because I'm an eternally happy person. I say this because I've experienced all ranges of human emotion. I was in a Romanian jail cell with cockroaches crawling all over me as I slept. I never missed a day of training. I wouldn't say I was particularly happy, but push-ups must be done.
So now we're going to go to the other end of the spectrum. I don't believe in unhappy. I believe, okay, let me word it this way. I'm happy every day, right? Let's say happiness is a scale. If you're not distraught, then you're happy. And I mean that like 3 or 4 times in your life, like a family member is going to die or something really bad's going to happen and you're going to be devastated. And when you're distraught, you can't even talk. Like, you know, when you're genuinely heartbroken, you can't even speak. You can't even talk. You just want to be left alone and you can't talk. Those days are coming for all of us. Either we're going to die or someone we love is going to die. Those days are coming. This is guaranteed. So until those days come, I'm happy. I'm very binary, yes or no, 1 or 0. Unless I'm distraught, I'm happy. Now, happiness can be a sliding scale, right? I can be less happy some days than others, but I'm still happy because I'm not distraught. There's a really interesting show I watched a long time ago, and it was a documentary about colors. And it was saying they found this tribe in Africa, and in the tribe in Africa, they had different names for the colors than we have. And they got 2 different shades of blue, which were basically identical. Like blue, one kind of blue, another kind of blue, basically identical. And to them, they were completely different colors. But then they put like blue and yellow, and they couldn't tell the difference. They couldn't tell the difference because the blue and the yellow had one name, and these 2 kinds of blues had a different name. And what they were trying to say is, if your brain is associated a name with something, it's very hard to work out the difference between the 2 things that have the same name. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm never unhappy. I'm happy always. Do you understand what I mean? If I'm not distraught, I'm happy. So I never wake up and go, oh, I'm unhappy today. I wake up and go, oh, I'm a little bit less happy today, but I'm happy. I've labeled myself as happy. I've labeled myself as lucky. I'm labeled these things, and I truly believe them. I will pass any lie detector test today that I'm the most content, happy man in the world, because that's what I've decided. That's what I've labeled myself as. So how can it not be true?
Do you think you can condition the mind to keep saying it to
absolutely
eventually believe yourself that you're happy?
Absolutely you can. I talk to people all the time like, oh, I'm unhappy, I'm depressed. And I'm like, stop saying it. You're saying it.
You are what you speak.
Yeah. Why are you saying it? You're happy, my friend, because you're talking. If you're truly unhappy, you don't talk. Think of the last time you lost a family member. The first thing you did is you sat in silence for half an hour. First, you get a phone call and you just sit there. And someone goes, what's happened? And you might give them a few words. That's unhappy. If you're running your mouth down the pub about being unhappy, you're attention seeking. That's what you're doing. So a lot of people are labeling themselves, and I absolutely refuse to take my own power away. There are so many things in the world trying to kill us. Like, you got enemies, you got people on the streets with blades, you got bacterias, fucking lions. Oh, I've got enough enemies, bruv. Sharks want me dead. I've got enough enemies. Why am I going to take my own power away? And this is what people really don't yet understand. There's only one thing on the planet you actually have control over. You can't control the weather. You can't control your health. You can get brain aneurysm or a heart attack. You can't control other people. The only thing you can actually really truly control is what you think. That's the only thing you can change in real time. You can be thinking of red and change it to blue. So why are you not controlling your own mind? It's your asset. It's your ally. It's your friend. Why would you make an enemy out of the only thing you have control over? I refuse to do that. It doesn't make sense to me. The worst thing on earth that could happen to a man could happen to me. And I guarantee you, I would still label myself happy. I'm happy because that's who I am. That's how I view myself. That's what I've decided.